Hello and welcome to this special presentation on Rajya Sabha television, the question hour, wherein we bring you some important questions asked by the member of the upper house in the previous session and their answers given by the government on the floor of the house. I am Vishal Dahiya and with me is my colleague Kriti Mishra.
Thank you so much, Vishal. So let's take our viewers through the questions that we've picked up in today's question hour show. So the first question is from member R. Vethalingam, and this one is to the Ministry of Civil Aviation. And Mr. Vethalingam has asked whether the government is considering to develop 18 new airports under the Regional Connectivity Scheme.
Well, the Ministry of Civil Aviation in its response says that the construction of newer greenfield airports is not covered under the provision of Regional Connectivity Scheme, that is RCS UDAN. Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs had approved the proposal on 6th of March 2017 for revival of existing unserved and underserved airports and airstrips of the state governments, Airport Authority of India and civil enclaves at an estimated cost of rupees 4,500 crore. However, the revival of these unserved and underserved airports is demand-driven, depending upon firm commitment from airline operators as well as from the state government for providing various concessions. The ministry further says that it has formulated a greenfield airport policy for development of greenfield airports across the country. In line with the policy, Government of India has granted in-principle approval for setting up of greenfield airports across the country with the participation of state governments, namely Mopa in Goa, Navi Mumbai, Sindhudurg and Shirdi in Maharashtra, Bijapur, Gulbarga, Hassan and Shimoga in Karnataka, Kannur in Kerala, Kushinagar and Noida, that is Jewar in Uttar Pradesh, Hirasar in Gujarat, and 4 greenfield airports, namely Shirdi, Kannur, Durgapur and Pakyong, have already been operationalized. Well, the next question is also to the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and this one comes in from member Sushil Kumar Gupta, who wants to know from the government whether it is a fact that under the corporate social responsibility, the Airports Authority of India, in collaboration with the National Skill Development Corporation, has set up an aviation multi-skill development center.
The answer given by the government is an affirmative, and the government goes on to say that Airports Authority of India has set up 2 aviation multi-skill development centers in collaboration with National Skill Development Corporation and National Skill Development Fund under the Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative. The centers are located at Chandigarh and Mumbai. The government further says that AAIA has taken up following projects in Delhi and Haryana under CSR initiatives in the last 3 years, and these include the Empathy Campaign empowering people against hepatitis at New Delhi in the year 2018-19. Purchase of 5 mobile vans for extending the mobile library services in slum areas and economically weaker sections of society in Delhi NCR in the year 2018-19. Provisioning of teaching learning materials for Hindi instruction for grades 1 to 3rd in government schools in Panchkula, Haryana for 2 years in the year 2018-19. Operation of paper recycling unit at Rangpuri, New Delhi for 3 years in the year 2018-19. Supporting the liver transplantation surgeries of economically weaker patients at New Delhi in the year 2017-18, and also operation and management of paper recycling unit at Rangpuri, New Delhi in the year 2016-17. Moving on to the next question asked by member Sushil Gupta, and this one is to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And Mr. Gupta has asked whether the drug regulators of India and China met recently in Shanghai.
Well, the Ministry of Commerce has responded to this question in affirmative, and it says that a one-day workshop on regulatory systems in pharma sector was jointly organized by National Medical Products Administration, that is NMPA, which was erstwhile CFDA, and Central Drugs Standard Control Organization for the benefit of pharmaceutical companies on 21st of June 2019 in Shanghai in China. The intensive day-long workshop included detailed deliberations in areas such as regulatory overview of NMPA, registration of imported drugs in China, Indian regulatory system, drug procurement system in China, NMPA overseas inspections and compliance guide as well. API, that is active pharmaceutical ingredient registration process in China, and compliance guide also. Both sides also decided to work towards greater coordination and cooperation between the 2 regulators in future. Also, the ministry says India has requested China to open its pharmaceuticals market, especially for affordable and high-quality generic drugs from Indian pharma companies. India has also asked China to clear the various regulatory hurdles faced by Indian pharma companies on priority, including long delays in product approval timelines, lack of clarity in current registration guidelines, waiver for bioequivalence studies and local clinical trials, drug procurement by local government in China, suo motu approvals for those Indian pharma companies which have approvals from stringent regulatory authorities like US FDA, EDQM, Japan, risk-based batch testing with self-certification, etc.
Moving on to the next question asked by member Vikas Mahatme, and this one is to the Ministry of Coal. And Mr. Mahatme has asked about the salient features of the SHAKTI scheme and the status of implementation of this scheme.
Well, the Ministry of Coal has given a very detailed answer to this question, and it says that the government approved the fading away of existing letter of assurance fuel supply agreement regime and introduced the scheme for harnessing and allocating koila, that is coal, transparently in India, the SHAKTI scheme 2017, which was issued by Ministry of Coal on 22nd of May 2017. The government also approved amendments to the SHAKTI policy 2017, which was issued by the ministry on 25th of March 2019. Salient features of this policy are: FSA may be signed with pending LOA holders after ensuring that the plants are commissioned, respective milestones met, all specific conditions of the LOA fulfilled within specified time frame, and where nothing adverse is detected against the LOA holder. Further, it has allowed continuation of the existing coal supply to the capacities of around 68,000 megawatt at the rate of 75% of annual contracted quantity, which may further be increased in future based on coal availability. The policy has enabled coal supplies at 75% of ACQ against FSA to about 19,000 megawatt capacities, which have been delayed in commissioning, provided these plants are commissioned within 31st of March 2022. The medium-term PPA is to be concluded in future against bids invited by DISCOMs have also been made eligible for linkage coal supply. The ministry further says that Coal India Limited, CIL or Singareni Collieries Company Limited may grant coal linkages to state or central GENCOs joint ventures at notified price on the recommendation of Ministry of Power. Linkages to independent power producers having long-term power purchase agreement based on domestic coal, where IPPs participating in auction will bid for discount on the tariff in paisa per unit. Bidders who could not participate in the linkage auction under B due to any reason may be allowed to participate in the auctions of this policy. Further, the bidders who could not secure the linkage for full ACQ may obtain linkage for the balance quantity by participating in future auctions at a later stage after benchmarking discount. Linkages to IPPs, power producers without PPAs shall be on auction basis. Coal linkages may also be earmarked for fresh PPAs by pre-declaring the availability of coal linkage with description to the states. Now, states may indicate these linkages to DISCOMs, state designated agencies. And lastly, power requirement of group of states can also be aggregated, and procurement of such aggregated power can be made by an agency designated by the Ministry of Power or authorized by such state on the basis of tariff-based bidding. The next question is also to the Ministry of Coal, and this one has been asked by member R. Lakshmanan, who wants to know from the government whether it has conducted safety audit of all coal mines across the country, including the mines of Neyveli Lignite Corporation in Tamil Nadu.
The answer given by the government is in affirmative, and the government goes on to say that safety audit has been conducted in all producing mines of Coal India Limited, Singareni Collieries Limited and also NLC India Limited in Tamil Nadu by internal and external agencies. Brief details of safety audit include: safety audit of mine in CIL are carried out through multidisciplinary teams. Audit methodology consists of inspection of mine, examination of all relevant documents pertaining to mine safety, security and safety management plans, and details of previous safety audit conducted. Major objective is to assess whether all mining operations are done as per provisions of safety statutes and to suggest or recommend the areas of improvement in identified deficiencies, if any. Well, the last question is by member Mahesh Podar, and this one is to the Ministry of Culture. And Mr. Podar has asked whether it is a fact that number of public libraries in India is getting reduced year by year due to poor financial health of these organizations.
Well, in response to Mr. Poda's question, the Ministry of Culture says that library is a state subject and public libraries function under the administrative control of respective states and union territories. This ministry has not come across any such instance from any state or union territory. It further says that National Mission on Libraries under its NML Model Library Scheme provides financial assistance to one state central library and one district library in each state and union territory as recommended by the state or UT Library Authority, and 6 libraries under the Ministry of Culture for upgradation of infrastructure and modernization. NML has been providing 5 days training to the public library personnel for their skill upgradation under its capacity building program. Raja Ram Mohan Roy Library Foundation, an autonomous organization under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, provides financial assistance for development of public libraries and its activities through its various matching and non-matching schemes. Now, RRRLF collaborates with the states and union territories library authorities for implementation of these schemes. So, Kriti, that's all we have for our viewers in this segment of Question Hour.